Hey guys, it's been a while since I did a podcast, Waxacast. This is episode 14 with me, Rob Webster, aka Rob Jam Webb, Boy Wonder, yada yada. What I'm going to talk about today is basically something that all of my older followers can relate to. Not all, but the majority, I'm guessing. And that's time. And that's time in the studio, time to be creative, time to do your thing. Now, when I started doing this thing a long, long time ago, over 3 decades ago, I used to work in a record shop in the day. I would get up in the morning, I would go out, I would do my job from 9 a.m. till 5:30, 6 p.m. And then I would have to get a bus home, which would take 20 minutes, half an hour, and then walk home from the bus, blah, blah, blah. By the time I got in the door, it was 6:30, 7:15, let's say that, right? I had a great day at the job because I loved my job, and playing records all day was an absolute dream. Anyway, I'd get home late in the evening, 6:30, 7:15. And yet I still found time to produce tracks, make demos, do a DJ mix, have something to eat, probably see friends that come around, and that would be my life on Monday to Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd be out DJing, guaranteed. So it was like I had less time, but I was more productive and more active. And obviously, now I think to myself, is that just an age thing? Now I come home from work 2 hours earlier than I did back then. I have 13 weeks a year off because I work in education in the day. So basically, I have way more time available. My kids are grown up and gone. So it's kind of like it's flipped itself around. I've got more time and I do less things creative. And I was wondering if other people find that now. I've been creative as a professional and as a semi-professional and as a part-time professional, which is what I consider myself now. And it's like music, obviously, these days is very different to how it was back then. The scene has disappeared. Everything's kind of changed. There isn't very little local scenes available for anyone to get involved in, which, used to sustain the living during the week because I worked in a record shop from 93 to 97, and then I left that to become a full-time DJ producer. The job at the weekend, the DJing at the weekend would pay for me to sustain myself during the week and not have to work a full-time job anymore. Anyway, so everything's changed in terms of, income and stuff like that. So I now work full time. But back to my original point, it's like I come home from work at 4:30 and I'm knackered, I'm tired, I sit down, I lie down, I have a kip for half an hour sometimes. And really, I want to get into the studio, but I just can't pull myself, out of the tired zone quick enough these days. It's got to be an age thing. I'm nearly 50, but the point, I'm 48 to be exact. But anyway, the point is, who else feels like they struggle to just get into the groove with the, the music, or your DJing or whatever you want to do, or if you do a live stream on TikTok or whatever it is you do you struggle to do that? I've got all this equipment all rigged up. I've got thousands of followers online on different platforms, and yet I kind of don't pursue it as much as I should do, really. I love to do it, but at the same time, I don't feel like I make the most of my time. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I will produce 2 tracks in a week. I'll do something, fully finished tracks, banged, mixed, mastered, arranged, the lot. Or I'll do something like a DJ set, a DJ mix, and I would have done it, planned it, prepped it, done it. And it's kind of like it comes and goes now, whereas before it used to be there, solid all the time, the desire. And it's true that our interests and our hobbies change throughout life. Our food tastes change, our drinking alcohol tastes change, things like that. I used to be a full-time smoker. I'm not anymore. I used to drink vodka, and I don't drink it anymore. I can't bear the stuff now. Your taste bud change, don't they? So therefore, your personal tastes and creative tastes obviously will change through time as well. But, I wish that I just had that little bit more energy these days to pursue doing this full time again. And not say full time, but just more of it, and be more consistent, I suppose. You see my YouTube videos, those of you who follow me, that I'm hit and miss. Sometimes I'll bang 2 out and then there'll be nothing for 4 weeks. Because I fall out of favor with doing this as well. Content creation as well is now a part of being a producer or DJ. There's no escaping that. And I think that is probably where I struggle. Whereas back in the 90s when I was making record after record, just banging tracks together, 2 or 3 demos a night, I would probably scrub 3 tracks before I hit on something I wanted to do. because there was no social media attached to it. It was just get in the studio and make some music, get on the decks and practice. There was no other distractions. If we go on the decks now, it's like, oh, am I going to film a bit of this? Or am I going to go online? I'm going to go live with this. Or, oh, I'm going to make a video out of this. And it's like, that comes into the play and you're distracted now. And I think that plays a part of it. It's kind of like what I need to do, and what I'm probably suggesting if you guys feel the same is, do we need to detach completely from external resources and external distractions like TikToks and Facebooks and whatever, and completely leave your phone out of the room, and leave the idea of having to create content whilst you're trying to create yourself. Sitting there banging tunes together is one of the greatest things you can do with your clothes on, as far as I'm concerned. But it's like, we get distracted, and if I'm making a track, I'm plonking away on the keyboard, my phone will be on my desk, and I'll flip it over, and then the desire disappears. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit of everything, and now I'm actually talking about this and thinking about it. The desire to create is also conflicting with my social media addiction and dopamine addiction and all that kind of, I say the word addiction like it's it's terrible, but it's not. We're all addicted to social media and whatnot now, the majority of us. I went quite a few months from this year without it, and I did really well productive wise. I got all sorts of different things done. So maybe it's time to give it a break for a bit and completely shut it down. But at the same time, I've got releases coming up that I need to use to promote it and get people to listen to it. So you can't win. But back to the time issue, are you yourselves using your time, wisely? Do you have a set time? Do you stick to that set time? I certainly don't, because I'm pretty much a free bird. I don't have anyone to lean on. I don't have anybody that's reliant on me. I don't have anybody that's demanding me. Nobody. I'm a complete, solo. So I can do what I want when I want outside of my work hours. And, I think that can also be quite crippling. Do you guys have a structured time? So, for example, you've got kids, you take your kids to football in the Saturday morning, or you've got your other hobbies like your sport, your fishing, whatever, your gym, time with your partners, etc. Do you use the time spare? Right, I've got 2 hours every Wednesday. I'm going into my studio. I'm going to make a track, or I'm going on my decks, or whatever. Or you practice your instrument. Do you guys do that? Is there anybody that does that? Do you find that that's more beneficial to have a structured set time? Some people prefer regimented discipline, if you like, whereas I'm completely loose, and I think that me being very undisciplined anyway in terms of life in general, and very, very unorthodox, isn't a good thing for me. It's a bad thing for me. But as I say, going back over the last 33 years since I've been making tracks in my bedroom, from starting off with a very, very primitive 4-track tape recorder and a little Casio sampler, all the way up to modern day technology. I've kind of gone from being so regimented and disciplined into, then it became a job, and then it became a chore. So I kind of fell out of love with it, but I was still doing it. I suppose it's like a bad marriage, really, a long-term marriage that goes through bad phases and good phases. But I wouldn't know, I was never married. So anyway, the point is, and then now I've got all this time, I've got loads more spare time now, and I tend to not be as productive as, I should be. But having said that, I've still got stuff coming out. I'm still regular-ish. But back to my point to you guys, do you find you have little time, and then the little time you do you make the most of it, or do you have plenty of time and you pick and choose and you kind of have to be in the mood to do stuff, because let's face it, you can't force art and you can't force creativity. Like, as the phrase goes, art is like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably so, that's it. I'm going to leave it on that, really. Just wanted to know your opinions and your thoughts on this. Do you make the most of your time? Do you find that less is more, and, so forth? That's it for today's podcast. That's today's ramble. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll speak to you soon. Get in touch if you want any music mentoring, because that is one thing I am actually quite consistent with. Give me a shout if you need any at waxadisc.com. Take care and goodbye.